Welcome guys, my name is Ricardo Pereira and today I'm going to show you how to publish ODATA Service. So don't leave and learn Mendix with me. So in this project I already have one entity created called request, and this entity have two attributes, one called request ID with a data type auto number, and the second attribute called name with a data type string. And in my case I want to expose entity into ODATA Service, so I'm going to right click on the entity and select the option expose as ODATA resource. Now I'm going to select my main module and click in new. As a name for the publish ODATA service, I'm going to write POS, so publish ODATA service request, and click OK. Here we can choose the key for our service, so I'm going to keep the request ID selected and click OK. And now, as you can see, we have a few options to edit our publish resource. In the general area, we can select our entity. In our case, it's a request, expose entity name request, expose set name requests, example of location. This is the endpoint we are going to use to consume our service. Key, the request ID, use pagination or not. So in our case, we only have a few objects, so it doesn't make sense to use pagination. But if in your case makes sense, you can change the page size. So I'm going to keep it as no. In the capabilities, you can choose if the user will have the option to insert into our entity new records. And if yes, we can select between two actions. So write to database or call a microflow. The read option, it's mandatory, but you can also select between two actions, so read from database or call a microflow. But here we also have another options, so the query options. So the first is mountable, the second top supported, and the third skip supported. These two, the top and skip, needs the pagination on to work. We can also set if it's updatable, same actions to these capabilities, or write to database or call a microflow, and if the user can delete some records or not. Now we can click OK. And we have another option here, so-called settings. We can click in this tab, and now we can see some configurations. So we can choose the ODATA version, if it's ODATA 4 that is recommended, or ODATA 3. We can also choose the type of the associations, if it's a link, like in Mendix, or we can use the object ID. We can export the structure of this service, so using the service feed, metadata, or open API. In terms of security, we have the option to enable or disable the authentication, use different authentication methods. So if it's basic authentication, so using the username and password, if active session is needed, or you can create your own authentication. We need to select upload rule. So select, I only have one inside this project, so I'm going to select user. And soon you select your role, you can export, so for example, the open API, just to see the structure of this service. As soon as you download this file, you can open using the Visual Studio Code or Notepad++. And here you can see a lot of options of configurations. So OpenAI version, title of in the version of the service that are using this service. So in my case, just the local host. You can also see the path, the request type. So if get, a patch, update, or delete. You can check the schema and also a lot of information. So if it makes sense to you to check the file, you are free to do it. But now we can actually run the service. So click to run service, save everything and continue. Now you can click to view app, log in as MX admin and click sign in. And here, as you can see, I already have some objects created. So to test this service, I'm going to use Postman. And here I have a few requests already done. So I'm going to select the first one. So to run this endpoint, you first need to check your authorization. So the type should be basic authentication and set the username and passwords. And soon as you do it, you can send a new request. And as you can see, we are receiving all the objects that are created inside the application. We can also do a second type of request, that is by selecting a specific object ID. So in my case, I'm going to select the request number 3. So if I send this request, as you can see, it only returns the request ID 3. We can also filter by name. So in this case, I add a filter to the name attribute, and I'm searching for the request 4. So if I send, as you can see, it only returns also one object. We can also create a few new requests using this service. So if you go to the body tab, so you can pass the structure of your entity. In my case, I have only 2 attributes, so the request ID, that is auto number. So there is no need to send that information to the service. I'm going only to send the name. And in that case, I'm going to send test 12 and then click in send. As you can see, it was created, but we can also check inside the platform. So if I refresh the page, we should have here test 12. So it's correct. Going back to the Postman, we can also delete a new request. So we just create the request number 12. We can also delete that one. So send, and as you can see, it returns a 204, no content. So if we check the platform, it should no longer be here. Perfect. And we can also update, so using the type fetch one request name. So currently the request number 3, so request ID 3, it's called request 3. We can change the name to request 31. So if we send this request, you can see that the request number 3 no longer have the name request 3, but it should be 31. So perfect. We can also do it again, so change from 31 to just 3. So if we send this request, it should be again 3. So let's refresh the page, and perfect. If you have the pagination option on, you will have a few more options as we see earlier. So it will be possible to do a count of all objects, also set top and escape amount. But for this video, that's all. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to leave the like, and I hope to see you soon. Bye bye.